Everyone's growth in life comes in phases, and that's pretty obvious when you consider the typical stepping stones of life, from infancy through adulthood to aging. But growth phases can be harder to consider when we narrow our focus to something as specific as minimalism. You see, I started decluttering in 2016, and I recently reached a phase on my journey that I didn't necessarily expect to be part of this minimalism thing. When I first got started, I simply wanted to reinvent myself. And I knew that part of that process involved letting go, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. And that's what I did. But now that I'm here, the stepping stones of this journey have become very clear to me. So today, I want to talk about the 5 phases of minimalism and focus on their key differences so you can zoom out, recognize where you are on your journey, and take the appropriate action towards the next phase. Phase 1 is curiosity, and this is where you experience the most noticeable change in your mindsets and perspective. This is because discovering the lifestyle of minimalism and the community behind it fosters excitement and, curiosity. You're the new kid on the block and you're immersing yourself in the benefits of living with less. This means you're watching videos, reading books and blogs about decluttering. You may be considering joining a Facebook group, but you're also taking mental notes on the best practices you hear about while deeply thinking about the aspects of your own life you want to change. Now, eventually, once your curiosity meter is maxed out, you enter phase 2 where you start decluttering. Now, knowing where to start when getting started isn't necessarily a straightforward answer because it's different for everyone. But your excitement pushes you to get started regardless of knowing where to start. The second phase is where you learn so much about yourself and your consumption habits. And I'd argue that 95% of people that reach this phase give up and quit. And I believe that for 2 reasons. Number 1 is because of feelings of overwhelm. And number 2 is a lack of clarity. And I get it because I experienced both of these things. So here are 3 simple tips for surviving. Number 1 is identifying your core values. When you understand what you value, it becomes easier to focus on what matters to you. This means you know with all certainty who you are, who you're not, what's important to you, and what's not important to you. The benefit of this is that it gives you a starting point to run your decluttering decisions through. And by that, I mean, when you're in the middle of decluttering your life and you're contemplating whether or not you want to keep something or get rid of something, if you take a moment to ask yourself whether or not that decision is going to help you prioritize your core values or pull you away from them, it brings so much clarity to the decision you make. Now, if you want to hear my thoughts on this in a bit more detail, I was recently on the Clutterbug podcast, and Cassandra and I had an amazing conversation about core values and how your core values can help you declutter. So I'll leave a link to her YouTube channel and at that podcast episode below if you want to check it out. The second tip is to ignore the aesthetics. Social media is a free resource for minimalism and decluttering advice. But at the same time, the minimalist aesthetic plastered everywhere can be intimidating. So please ignore it. Use the version of minimalism you see online as inspiration and not the template. And I feel it's appropriate for me to say this because I'm not oblivious to how my home looks in my YouTube videos to you and the rest of the public. But if you observe closely, you'll notice that I've never tried to convince you to recreate my home or my family's lifestyle. Instead, my goal is to help you prioritize your core values and create an environment that supports that. And this is something that I've talked extensively about in other videos I've done here on my channel, but also Cassandra and I touched on this a bit as well on her podcast. So make sure you check that out. But I'll also link to a couple of other videos that I've done that can be a great resource for you. And the third tip is to develop structure and systems to help you declutter. The one thing you don't want to do is dive headfirst into your decluttering journey without any structure or a clear action plan to help you navigate your clutter. Regardless of how eager and excited you are to start letting go, doing this will result in more overwhelm than necessary and likely lead to you quitting and giving up on decluttering altogether, or sitting in what I call the frozen zone, where you are so overwhelmed and have no idea where to start that you just freeze. Which brings me to phase 3, building systems. Think of systems as processes you can follow to produce lasting results while minimizing overwhelm. And here's exactly how you get started. Step 1 is to take inventory of your clutter. And I like to refer to this as building a project bank. Now, a project bank is just a list of decluttering projects that you have across your home or across your life that you want to complete. And the goal is to add it to this project bank in real time. Here's what I mean. Let's say you have a hallway closet that is stuffed to the brim. And every time you open that closet to grab something out, you're thinking to yourself like, oh my gosh, I really need to set some time aside to go through all of this stuff in here, figure out what's in here, number one, and what's worth keeping. Or another example, let's say you always have this random thought in the back of your mind about the random books you've collected or the boxes in your basement, and you know you have to go through them at some point. Well, the goal of this project bank is to add those things to this list the moment you think about them or come across them in your daily routine. And the beautiful thing about this is that your project bank will eliminate the overwhelm you feel when it comes to not knowing where to start. Because let's say you have a free weekend or a few hours here and there to start decluttering. Well, you have a list of projects that you can pick from rather than taking a step back and looking at everything all at once and freezing because you have no idea where to start. Step 2 is to pick one of those projects off of your project bank, that list that you've built, and begin fleshing out an action plan that can help you declutter that specific area. And you do that by creating a personalized decluttering checklist in combination with the strategies and best tips that I and many other YouTube creators have talked about. Now, I share how to do this effectively with real examples in real time inside of my course, The Decluttering Starter Kit. I give you the tools, the resources, and the how-to when it comes to creating a personalized decluttering checklist and getting tangible results from your efforts. I'll leave a link below, or you can go to ronaldlbanks.com/starterkits for all the details and everything that's included. All right, phase 4 is work focused. Once you have systems in place, it becomes easier to maintain a clutter-free life long-term, which gives you the freedom to shift your attention to other aspects of life, specifically the role you want your career to play in your life. Now, I'm currently in phase 4, and here are some examples of how I'm shifting the role of work in my life right now. And the first is by building a business. I recently quit my corporate job less than 2 months ago after 8 years because the vision I had for my life was very different than the path I was traveling while working in corporate America. So I quit to pursue a more meaningful career. Now, I'm applying the principles I learned through minimalism to the process of solopreneurship and building a business and my content production. And that's because I want my work and my business to be a blessing and not a burden, meaning I want my work to support my life, not be my life. And the second thing I'm doing is I'm implementing a values-first strategy. I've committed to not allowing a come up to come before my character. Because at the end of the day, I want to do work that affords me the freedom to prioritize my core values and put my family first, which makes growing my business and earning more income that much more rewarding when the growth happens because it's feeding a larger vision that I have. The last phase is all about building wealth and doing things that change your family's tree for generations to come. Now, I haven't fully reached this phase yet, so I can't speak on it as intelligently as the first 4 phases. But here's how I might think about it. There are 4 ways to view generational wealth. Number 1 is time wealth. If your life is clutter-free, you're prioritizing your core values and doing meaningful work on your terms, then you have a wealth of time. You see, every human on this planet is given 24 hours a day to spend. And on average, 6 to 8 of those hours are spent sleeping, which means time is the most valuable asset we have. And being able to spend your available time doing things that matter with the people that matter makes all the difference. Number 2 is experience wealth. More available time to spend on what matters equals more experiences gained. Take your partner on that dream vacation. Treat them to a brunch date every Tuesday just because. Spend more time with your aging parents. Be present and build memories with your kids rather than them defaulting to remembering how much you worked. Experiences add so much value to your life, and the more experiences you gain, the more memories you create, the wealthier you become. Number 3 is monetary wealth. With the right vision, tools, and action plan, the work you're currently doing can be the first stepping stones to creating multiple streams of income for yourself. Here's a new perspective for you to consider. If you can talk about a topic for 30 minutes, you can productize yourself. Now, by default, we don't think this way, but I want to encourage you to leverage the knowledge and tools you already have to create multiple streams of income for yourself and your family. Live off of one of them and use the others to invest and build monetary wealth for generations to come. And number 4 is knowledge wealth. My goal is to pass the knowledge I've acquired in life and business through the lens of minimalism to my family. So that way they can add to it and pass their knowledge down to their families and so on. You see, by pushing the first domino, I want to create a chain reaction, a wealth of knowledge that can be passed on and added to for generations. But ultimately, I'll know more about this phase when I get there someday. And of course, you'll hear about it when I get there too. Let me know which of the 5 phases of minimalism you're in right now on your journey down in the comments. Keep growing on your journey, my friend. Keep learning. And remember to always stay true to you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.